Hello, my name is Manny Martinez, chef at the Manor North here at Willow Valley Communities. I've been with Willow Valley for a little over 8 years now, and what I love most about Willow Valley is the relationships that I've been able to build with residents as well as fellow team members. Today we're going to be making crème brûlée. Now crème brûlée is something that you see on a lot of gourmet menus. However, it is one of the most easiest desserts that you can make. Much easier than baking a cake or anything like that, in my opinion. So the first thing that we're going to do is we have a quart of heavy cream here. We're going to heat this on the stove top. Now when you're heating this up, it's important to remember we want to make sure that this is just hot enough on that stove top that we see little tiny bubbles coming up around the side, but we don't want it boiling. We'll add a little bit of vanilla extract in here, and onto the heat it goes. Okay, so our heavy cream is hot, ready to go. Now, what's important to remember about heavy cream, it is a custard, so it's important that we temper the egg yolks that we're using in this. We're gonna go with a little bit of sugar first, about 4 ounces. We're gonna beat those in really well. Now we're gonna go with our heavy cream and our vanilla extract that we heated up. We wanna do just a little bit at a time to start, to make sure that we temper those egg yolks. If we just pour it all in, we're gonna end up with scrambled eggs, and we don't want that. So we'll go slow at first to get them tempered, and then towards the end, we can go ahead a little bit more. Okay, so we're ready to strain our mix. It's important to do this into a pitcher of some sort or something that you can easily pour out of, because when we're going to our ramekins, it's important that we have a nice even flow and that we're not making a mess everywhere. We do this through a strainer just in case there's any clumps or anything in there. We want to make sure we get all of those out so we have a nice smooth consistency. Now we're going to pour this really gently into these ramekins. The cooking time varies based on the ramekins that you have. So if you have a deeper one and it's thicker, you're going to need a little bit more cooking time. If they're thinner like these, it's going to be a little less cooking time. Our oven is currently preheated at 315 degrees. Now we are going to use a water bath for these, but we're not going to put the water in until the pan is already in the oven. If we do that beforehand and we try to lift that pan and we take it over to the oven, we run the risk of getting water into that mix, which then makes it not set. Again, we have this oven preset at 315 degrees. Now once they're in there, we're going to now add our water. We want to add this water about 3/4 of the way up the sides of the ramekins. This is going to aid in it not cooking, overcooking, and then ending up with scrambled eggs as an end result. So there we are. We're about 3/4 of the way up. We'll let these go for about 30 to 45 minutes, and it's important to check these early and often to make sure that you're not overcooking these. When you do cook them, you want to make sure that the end result, you have the outside pretty well set, and at the middle there's just a little bit of jiggle like Jello. When you pull these out of the oven, they start to cool at room temperature, and then you can put them into a fridge about 20 minutes later. It's important to let these cool in the refrigerator for at least 4 to 8 hours until they set correctly. I usually like to do this day before and then pull them out the next day. So we have our finished product here. Now comes the brulee part. So we want to add a little bit of sugar onto the top of this. Evenly coat it, and then comes the fun part. We have here a torch. We don't want our torch too high. We want to make sure there's even heat around. We want to circle our way around this to make sure that this sugar caramelizes evenly. We want to wait until we see it really nice and golden brown, and then we know that we have a great finished product and that it's going to harden and leave that crack that we want when we break through it with a spoon. Important thing to remember is if you don't have a torch at home, you can use the broiler setting on your oven. That would work as well. Just make sure that you keep an eye on it so that you don't end up burning those sugars. We got a little bit of whipped topping here that we're going to put on top. Nice, fresh, local, organic raspberry. We're just going to slice that in half. Place both of those halves on there. a couple of mint leaves to aid in color. And there we have your creme brulee.